beginning. So we'll start in a seat. You can be cross-legged, you can have one foot in front of the other. I am propped up on a folded blanket that helps elevate the hips in line with the knees to make it a lot more comfortable. And start by letting the shoulders drop down and away from the ears. And we'll have the palms face down at the start, either in the lap or on the knees. Notice if you're leaning more forward or back, try to align the head with the sit bone. Close the eyes if that feels comfortable. And just notice how you feel in this moment. Noticing any thoughts that you're bringing to the moment, any emotions, any feeling. And since we are talking about cleanliness and purity, that is not just the physical body. We also can apply that to our mind. So we're going to practice that with our meditation. But first, noticing the breath, noticing it come in through the nose, your inhale, and then your exhales, let that go out the mouth. So starting there, inhaling through the nose and exhaling out the mouth. Noticing if the breath is uneven or shallow. And see if you can start to bring the breath deeper, bringing it into the belly or the diaphragm. So simply having that awareness of the breath is powerful in itself, bringing you to the present moment. Our inhales are energizing, nourishing, and our exhales are cleansing and releasing. Trying to follow that breath and think of this as cleaning out maybe the lungs, noticing if there's any sticky parts or where the breath can't get to or any stuck places. And notice the thoughts. If maybe the mind is racing right now, and that's okay, but noticing those thoughts. And maybe they start to slow down. Maybe so much they slow down, so much that there's a brief moment in between those thoughts, creating a little bit of space. And taking a few more rounds of that awareness of the inhale and the exhale. Finding more of a even breath. They would call that Samavitri breath. And if your palms were down, if you have your eyes closed, you don't have to look. Flip the palms up and take the tip of the thumb to the bottom of the ring finger. And other fingers are relaxed and still open, but the thumbs are just touching thumb tips are touching the crease of the ring finger. And just relaxing this mudra, this hand position, again on the top of the thighs or the knees. And coming back to that ebb and flow of the breath. This is the gesture of purification for cultivating Saucha. Imagine you can only take in good and you're releasing what you no longer need. Maybe just for the moment or for this practice, for this evening. When we practice Saucha, we are more aware of how we treat our bodies and our minds in the space in which we live. Each moment that passes, and treating each moment as precious as every other moment, but having that awareness. So maybe setting that as your intention for this evening. Luxuriating in this space that we're creating for ourselves. Taking a few more rounds of breath. Noticing any shifts or changes as you hold this mudra. We'll start off by taking a shared breath. Take the deepest breath you've taken today in through the nose. Pause at the top and exhale out the mouth. Slowly release the mudra. Open the eyes, coming back to the space. And feel free to unwrap the legs. You can windshield wiper them side to side. And from here, we're going to set up for a supported child's pose. So feel free to use all the blankets you would like and that you have. There's no limit. Restorative yoga is meant to be comfortable. So if anything doesn't feel right, if you feel pinching or pain, feel free to move and adjust or grab more props. You can take any support underneath your cushion for the supported child's pose and bringing that in between the thighs. You can adjust the height of this to your preference. You can also take any blanket in between the legs. And allowing yourself to fold over that support, bringing your cheek coming to one side. Doesn't matter what side you start on. And allowing yourself to relax and let go. Letting your shoulders relax away from the ears, wrap around that support, arms relaxed. They can go where they feel comfortable. So much that your chest is pressing into that support and filling the side body. The breath is filling the side body and the back body. I will tell you when to turn the gaze, and when you hear my chimes, know that we will be transitioning out of that shape. But that doesn't mean you need to pop up or come out of the pose. I will guide you out. So allowing yourself to let go from holding yourself up. Allowing yourself to let your breath be back to its natural rhythm, but noticing how it starts to slow down the more you relax, the more you let go. We want to explore the intention of mindfulness and awareness. And the more we practice, the more that can overflow into our day-to-day lives. Imagine you can breathe clearly, filling the body on the inhale, feeling the lungs expand, your body enliven. And as you breathe out, maybe noticing the clothes or the props brushing against the skin, noticing the warmth of the breath, or even the sound of the breath on the exhale, feeling that release and that softening, paying attention. There's a saying that we take a bath to clean the body, and we meditate to clean the mind, and there's nothing more to it. It's that easy. But it's that practice that is important, that mindfulness, that awareness. And if you haven't already, turning your gaze the opposite way, evening out the throat. Slowly start to press yourself up. And if you feel like a little bit of movement, you can step a foot back at a time, letting blood flow back into the knees, but trying to move slowly and mindfully. We're going to keep this set up, but feel free to adjust the opposite end higher or lower to your preference. We're going to turn the other way. Feel free to have something still underneath the hips. And since you are using that support under that bolster, you can take a blanket and roll it up tight like this. We're going to bring ourselves into our feet into butterfly, bringing the soles of the feet together, taking that blanket wrap up from the front around the ankles, and then pull the ends in towards you. This tightens that and keeps the knees open without any effort. And scooting up or back to that bolster so you can relax back, coming into this supported heart opener. Depending on the angle your arms may be hanging, that may be uncomfortable, you can always prop the forearms on something. Just make sure you can do that on both sides. And then feel free, if you want something over the eyes, to block out any light in the space. To quiet the eyes and the mind behind them. So we opened up the back body in the first pose. Here we're opening up the chest and a slight stretch in the groin, inner thighs, and hips. Again, letting the shoulders relax down and away, and this time wrapping around the opposite way. Feeling the heart and breath expand. The subtle movements of the breath. Maybe depending, the throat is a little exposed here. That may feel vulnerable, so maybe tucking the chin in, or maybe that gives you a sense of clarity. Our throat and our throat chakra is where we speak from truth and stand in our truth. Sometimes we struggle with that, communicating well, letting things roll off the tongue, saying what we mean. Letting yourself get comfortable here. To recognize what doesn't help us and what does. We can come towards a state in which everything we do aids us in moving closer to a happier and healthier lifestyle and becoming more awake and aware. And if we take our back habits with us onto the mat, into our practice, we kind of have to shift through them or kind of peel away the layers even more, and that may make our practice harder. And we have to shift through those impurities and negativity before we're able to reap the benefits. And impurities, not just talking about physical. Saucha also means cleanliness of the mind, body, spirit, and our surrounding, helping us direct again towards that pure and positive life. As you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, think about what wants to wash away, what wants to be let go. So something new can be born. Maybe allowing this to emerge may be uncomfortable, but not judging it or criticizing it. Just listen. Listening to maybe the sensations in the body, maybe the breath shifts. But noticing that is the mindfulness. Noticing that and then letting it wash away. Slowly deepening the breath and coming back to the space. You can unwrap that blanket that is around the feet and extend the legs long. Staying here for a few more breaths. Still staying here, not letting the mind run away to to-do lists or chasing thoughts. Coming back to the breath. Feel free to point and flex the toes or rock them side to side. And slowly start to press up, but we're going to come to one side, spinning towards that support. So you have the choice for the legs to be more in deer legs, the zigzag. You can have them more stacked. If you do prefer them closer together, feel free to take a blanket in between for some padding. If you do have them in deer or even further, that top leg further back, you'll get a nice gentle stretch in that top thigh, IT band, and maybe even the glute. Also, this support can stay how it was for that heart opener or child's pose, or you can remove that or lower it to your preference. You can have anything you would like underneath the cheek. You're going to spin towards that, one hand on each side. Taking a moment here to find that comfortable twist in the torso. Inhale through the crown of the head. And then exhale, walk yourself down. The gaze can be the way your knees are facing, or taking that aster twist in the throat, in the torso, looking the opposite way. Seeing what feels more comfortable. And again, letting yourself relax here. Twisting in the torso, the sides of the body. And feeling the breath massage the organs. Feeling where maybe it couldn't get to before. And I mentioned that Saucha can reflect in our surroundings, in our homes, in our offices, at work. It's often said that our environment reflects our state of mind. And when we're surrounded by clutter, that means our mind may be cluttered also. When we are surrounded by a clean environment, we have a sense of having space to breathe. An example of this in yoga is having a clean mat. That's a sign of respect towards our practice. Or how personal hygiene is respect of our self-respect. Or it can go even into our diet. There's a saying, you are what you eat. So the cleaner the food, the cleaner what we're bringing inside and glowing inside and out. So having awareness of what we are consuming and making more conscious choices. Ancient yogis had a lot of maybe weird cleansing techniques. We will not go over those. If you want to look them up, you're more than welcome to. But they may be weird because they're not always things that we do now in modern times. But we They did all of these cleansing techniques as soon as they woke up really early in the morning before the sun came up, before they ate anything, drank anything. They did 3 hours of yoga, and then they would have their breakfast. So it became like a routine and a ritual for them. And this all comes before the practice, the meditation. This all, the yamas and the niyamas occur before asana, which is one of the 8 limbs. Because we take a physical yoga practice, we're using, creating, and directing that personal, powerful energy, and we want to make sure we're directing that in the right way. So we practice and apply these yamas and niyamas before we actually get to the physical aspect of yoga. Slowly coming back to your spaces. If your gaze was at the opposite way, slowly turn it towards the knees. And slowly pressing yourself up, letting the head come up last. Taking a moment to spin the opposite way. Taking all the time you need to readjust. Before you come into that shape, spin towards that support. Find length through the crown of the head on the inhale. And exhale to lower. Again, you can choose the way the gaze is. And again, Saucha can also mean cleansing of the mind. So where our attention goes, our energy flows. So in a more vigorous class, if you're thinking about maybe what the yogi is doing next to you or your grocery list while you're in a balancing pose, you may fall out of the pose because your mind is somewhere else. So we're trying to know what is standing in our way to realization or awareness, what stands between us and Santosha or enlightenment. So being aware of those thoughts, that is the first step. We have a choice in how we act to those thoughts. So being aware and then choosing how we react to them. And then choosing to direct those maybe negative thoughts to more positivity. We can add that to our lives with more practice, and then hopefully the overflow into the world around us. Our minds are very powerful. It's a muscle that we can strengthen over time. And what we choose to do with them has that ability to make a big impact. And right now, what is happening in the world, it's a problem that we may be worrying about and fixated on, but we genuinely can't do nothing about it. So that worrying and getting angry isn't going to help. Instead, we can choose to practice meditation, restorative yoga, and then sending those positive, pure thoughts towards that situation and sending that goodness out into the world. One last time, slowly pressing yourself up, slowly letting the head come up. And from here, you're going to completely spin towards that bolster. And again, you can decide the angle of this. You can have padding that's still underneath the hips and something underneath the head. You're going to bring your legs up the bolster, coming into kind of like a supported boat. I like to call this supported lazy bones. If you're having trouble keeping the legs up that support, you can kind of wrap the legs and swaddle them. So you don't use any effort to keep the legs up there. And allowing yourself to recline back comfortably. Something underneath the head and shoulders. You can also cover yourself up here or place something heavy over the waist, pelvis that is very grounding and comforting. Arms relax out to the side. And coming into this very mild kind of inversion, almost inversion, in lieu of maybe 90 degrees, legs up the wall, which is not comfortable for everyone. But this still lets the blood flow back into the organs, into the heart, giving the heart the break, our legs and our feet a break. And sometimes this gives us a sense of clarity on something we may be festering about or ruminating on. That rumination is something that we get caught in and get caught in that whirlpool of anxiety and negativity. We can pull ourselves out of that with that awareness. And again, coming back to that breath, noticing those small pauses in between the breath, in between the thoughts, creating that space, cultivating that clarity, that openness, allowing us to get more in line with our true essence, our true being. Maybe a sense of openness and lightness in the throat, in the chest. Feel free to stay where you're at for the remainder of practice. If you prefer to move into supported Shavasana, final rest, you can remove the support from the blocks. Bring that cushion or bolster across the mat to have underneath the knees and lay back down. If you prefer a different shape, maybe you return to something that we've done previously in a different class or earlier in this practice. Whatever is comfortable for you to find that complete, effortless surrender. No controlling the breath, letting the mind be clear. Letting yourself get heavy. There's nowhere to be, nothing to do. Being pure with ourselves means we are not afraid of our thoughts or our feelings. And we do not have to hide anything from ourselves. We make full and honest contact with the present moment. So there is nothing lost and no regret. When we begin to lose the heaviness of waste and clutter, we begin to feel lighter, more spacious, and expansive. Our bodies become more alive, our minds become more clear, and our hearts more compassionate. Slowly start to bring your awareness back, coming back to your space, coming back to your mat, coming back to your body and your breath. Starting to deepen the breath, coming back to life. Feel free to stay where you're at, just listening to my voice. You can take as long as you would like in this luxurious Shavasana. Just giving yourself gratitude for taking time out of your evening for yourself, for your practice. Cleansing the body, the breath, and the mind. And taking this feeling of ease and clarity with you into your evening and into the rest of your week. We'll seal our practice with a shared cleansing breath. Take a deep inhale in, feeling that space you created. And exhale, let it go, let it wash away. And if you did come up to a seat, bringing the hands to your heart or placing the hands on your heart. Thank you for practicing with me, spending your evening with me and Metro Yoga. From my heart to yours, namaste.